everyone, today we're taking one final look at Marathon. Now we've played through most of the time during Season 1. We've played pretty much every day of Season 2 and have dived in a lot deeper than we did before. We've completed every achievement. We've unlocked almost every single costume currently available in the game that is not a purchasable costume. And so now we're ready to share our final thoughts before we move on to something else. So typically I don't play games once I complete the achievements. I usually put them away unless I'm helping a friend. This is one of those games where I have no actual friends that play it, and I've still been playing it. So overall, the game itself from the start was a lot of fun to play. You know, I personally hate games that are centered around PvP, and this was my first extraction shooter I've ever played. And I thought it was great. You know, the visuals weren't super appealing just because kind of retro aesthetic to everything. But it actually works surprisingly well, and the visuals are actually quite stunning, especially for some of the background effects and areas. But the combat itself is pretty much flawless. If only I was actually better at it. Now, something new that they introduced this season, basically with the mid-season update that happened earlier this week, they added in a Vault Breaker mode. We didn't capture any footage of that, but basically that's doing cryo archive, but without having to worry about any other players. It's, you know, kind of the way that they describe it, it sounds like it's going to be like wave after wave for a certain number of waves that you have to survive. But really, after playing it, it is really just cryo chamber with just your team as being the only actual players. And I think that is my favorite way to play that map for sure. And that's just because I suck at the PvP. The PvE stuff, I can hold my own. Sometimes not so well, just kind of the luck of the draw and how many grenades they're throwing at me at once and how slowly I get away. But the game as a whole, completely polished in terms of controls, mechanics. My only complaint really at this point is how long it takes to load into a match. You know, with games like this, you know, you want to get into the next match as quickly as possible and grab as much loot as you can so you can keep leveling up the different factions and things like that. And without having the faster load time, it means that you're going to get fewer runs as you progress, because the longer you're in a map, the more stuff you're going to get. But sometimes you have to kind of weigh the quicker exfil versus the actual rewards you can pick up along the way. So our final verdict overall is that this is an absolute win. The only other complaint we had about the game was honestly pretty minor once we understood it. So originally we thought that, based on the wording of the achievement, in order to get to level 100, it could be divided between multiple seasons based on how it was worded. They reworded it at the start of Season 2 to actually specify you must reach level 100 within a single season. Now, I honestly thought that was going to be extremely difficult, even with me playing like 1 to 3 matches a day, and that was it. And so, you know, I felt like it would be very difficult for me to get there. But with just doing about 1 to 3 games on average a day, as long as you focus on your kills more than anything else, kills and opening up boxes before anybody else does, those are your main XP grinds. And so doing that definitely helps that process faster. So once I understood that, which I understood about level 50, and then I went from 50 to 100 in about half as much time as it took me to get to level 50. And it all just came down to how little I understood about the XP. Now, any kills your teammates get also counts towards that XP as well. So If you go in and you're having a terrible match, but your teammates are having a great match, then you're going to be better off for it. Of course, if all three of you are having a great match with tons of kills and tons of loot and stuff, then overall you're all going to do pretty well. But, completing challenges, those don't get you XP for that achievement. They get you faction XP, depending on like the kit you use, some of the missions you do, some of the things you complete, things like that. And so it is actually much easier to do than I ever thought it was. So as long as you focus on the killing, you can do it within less than half a season. I've actually been over level 100 for a couple weeks now. And that was my last achievement in the game. Some of the other achievements, like the number of kills of commanders, you have to get 28 commanders for that achievement. There's no in-game tracker that I could find that tells you how you're doing. But even though it's between season, it doesn't matter that you may have had 10 kills in season 1 and 18 kills in season 2. As long as you hit 28 total, you're good. It's only the level 100 achievement that matters really within a single season. That and the VIP achievement and the capstone achievement. But if you're focusing on completing missions and focusing on kills more than just collecting items, you're going to be able to fill up that capstone pretty quick. And like right now for me, I have basically the level 4 capstone on every single faction. And I've just been focusing on missions and kills. So in the end, fantastic story, fantastic gameplay, amazing fight mechanics. The inventory system is very quick and easy to work with, so that way you can actually switch some of your items on the fly pretty easily. And it is just an absolute win. This is one of the very few games that I think is worth the actual initial non-sale price, or even actually more. I would actually have paid more for this game willingly had I known how much I was going to enjoy it. And so, with that being the case, as many thumbs up as possibly can get in the room. Right now it's just me, so it's just 2. But if there were more people, there would be a lot more thumbs up. Fantastic game. Absolutely love it start to finish. And I am actually curious about checking out Season 3 when it comes out, see what other new stuff they do. The Vault Breaker, again, is a fantastic addition. And I love that they keep bringing more into the game. Like with Season 2, they brought in a new class, the Sentinel. And the Sentinel's a lot of fun to play. Now, I've always played, in the entirety of Season 1, I played Destroyer only. Season 2, I played Destroyer until I hit about level 50. And then I started working on unlocking the faction costumes for each class. And I'm down to 2 costumes left to get when this was filmed. And now I've already got them all done. So it's not very difficult using the free kits, as long as you make sure that you focus on exfilling with those free kits as well, if you want those costumes. Now, personally, I do feel that the costumes themselves that you get for the factions are far inferior compared to the costumes you get in the reward pass. So definitely the reward pass is definitely worth picking up. A lot of great cosmetics, but none of those cosmetics really help you in the game, but some of the schematics that you get do. So worth working on getting some of those, so that way you actually have easier access to some of the different weapons. I just wish that the game gave you more of a bank for your silk or your currency for the pass to go into the next season. It caps out at 140 points, where I think that if you keep playing and keep leveling up, you should be able to bank up almost a full season's worth, in my opinion. But from what I've read, The silk does carry over from season to season, so if you have silk left over, it does go into the next season. But overall, the team did an amazing job, and I absolutely loved the game. And this is actually the first game that I can walk away from saying that I truly loved that Bungie has ever made. And it makes me curious about what they got next. And I'm hoping that it's going to be something else in the world of Marathon, because that is actually a fascinating story. There are several videos that do a deep dive on the lore between all of the games in the franchise. It's well worth the watch if you can find them, because there's a lot of things that you don't really understand. But once you understand more about that base lore going into Marathon, the story of Marathon makes so much more sense. So again, absolutely worth picking up. Thoroughly enjoyed it start to finish. And again, the team did an amazing job. That's it for this one. I will catch you guys all next time. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and have a good night.